Hey there guys, it's Jetfire from GameSpears, and today we're taking a look over a Star Wars Battlefront 2 mod, the Star Wars Battlefront Conversion Pack, or just simply the Conversion Pack. It was released back in 2008, and if you're a veteran modder, you're probably aware of this mod. Its premise is to essentially add the maps and the feeling of Battlefront 1 into Battlefront 2. But that's just skimming the surface. You're not even dipping your feet in the water when you just say that is the whole mod. On top of that, it adds 11 more custom maps, adds new sides to all the new maps, so all the Battlefront 1 maps and the custom maps, and they're not just the sides you'd see in Battlefront 1 with the white clone troopers, no, they're fairly customized. You know, if you're on Kashyyyk, you'll see the 41st Battalion, the green troopers from Episode 3 on Kashyyyk, or on Bespin, you'll find these red troopers. I believe they're like the 146th. And then there are classes on top of that. So for the clones, you have an extra clone captain, which has like the same chain gun as the clone commander does in the normal game. You have a clone recon trooper, which not sure what he's supposed to do, what he's really good at, but he can cloak, and he has a blaster pistol. He's not really good for many things, that's what I've found, but he's there. He is a good sniper, though, I'll say that much. And then you have the Republic Commando, so you have a specific Republic Commando for each round, so you might have Fixer or Boss or any one of those. And then you have a Clone Commander, which is armed with an orbital strike, so, you know, you can rain fire and death upon your enemy. And then for the Separatists, you have your normal super battle droid. On certain maps, you'll have a pilot droid. Then you have your assault droid. And there's two Magna Guards. There's one that's armed with a Magna Staff, and then there's the normal one that's from normal Battlefront 2. You have obviously your Droideka. You have a Recon Droid, which is, I suppose, is similar to the normal clone Recon. Then you have a Commander Droid. They're pretty similar to the clone Commander. And same goes for these Rebels and Empire. For the Rebels, you'll have your basic Rebel Trooper, right? You'll have your Rebel Vanguard, your Rebel Marksman. Then you have Wookiee Warrior, which a lot of these classes are very similar, but then you obviously have your Recon character. You have your Special Ops Trooper, which is supposed to be your sort of Republic Commando type. And then you have your Commanding Officer. And same goes for the Empire. It's basically the same thing. They all have corresponding classes go together. You have Imperial Commando, you have Recon Unit. And then there's also a new era, which is the Knights of the Old Republic era, so, you know, if you're into that sort of Knights of the Old Republic time period, if you played Knights of the Old Republic, any of those games, then you're probably would be a fan of this era. It's pretty fun to play with, and its classes are pretty specific to that era. So for the Republic, you have the Republic Trooper, you have the Republic Heavy Weapon Specialist, and he's not really sort of the rocket launcher type. He just has like a giant gun, and it's really slow moving, but pretty powerful. Then you have the Republic Field Support, who's armed with a bowcaster. Then you have the Republic Swordsman, which is just how it sounds. They are armed with swords. Then the Republic Captain, he's just armed with a pistol. He looks like a commanding officer. He has a bunch of different grenades, though. He has like a fragmentation grenade, a sonic grenade, a plasma grenade. Then you have the Republic Spy, and he, again, tries to go invisible, usually fails. He's not that great. Then you have the T3 unit, which is definitely interesting. It's a droid, and it's basically like the astromech of the time. If you've played the games, you're probably aware of this character, because it's one of the companions you get. And then you have a Jedi Gunman, which is a pretty odd class, but it's like a Jedi who has force powers, but he uses two guns and like dual wields. And then for the Sith Empire, so there's the Sith Trooper, basically the same as the Republic Trooper. The Sith Heavy Trooper, so he's also like the Republic sort of heavy specialist, heavy weapon specialist. The Sith Support Trooper, again, just like the Republic Support Trooper. Not exactly a bowcaster, though. It only shoots a single bolt, but it charges up. Then you have a Sith Bladesman, which does the same thing as Republic Swordsman. Sith Lieutenant, just like Republic Captain. Sith Assassin, I guess it's similar to the Republic Spy, but this one, you know, is armed with a staff that he can hit people with. You have the Sith Warbot, which is like just bipedal robot with a flamethrower and pulse wave blaster. And then you have the Dark Side Adept, who is basically a Sith armed with a lightsaber. And on top of that, there's several new game modes. So I'm just going to list them off right here. There's Deathmatch, which is just like it sounds. It pits everyone against one another, and they're all trying to kill one another, and you have to survive. That's basically deathmatch. It's a little glitchy, though, I've found, because sometimes, there'll be one guy, who's a friendly, and if you kill him, then you die because you did a team kill, and then some guys are actually enemies, but they look like friends, but they're not, and you can't tell, and then there are guys who have, yellow bars as their health, and I don't even know where they lie between good and bad, It's a little confusing, I'll give it that. There's also Team Deathmatch, which is similar to Deathmatch, basically Conquest without being able to capture the command post. It's kind of fun, for Team Deathmatch. Then there's Holocron, which is definitely more interesting. It's one of the more Star Wars related game modes that's added, and basically there's a Holocron that both sides have to locate, and whoever locates it, you have to pick it up. And once you pick it up, gain a shield, or whoever picks it up gains a shield that protects them so they don't die right away if they're getting shot at by enemies. And they have to hold the Holocron until a new one spawns, and they'll have friendlies trying to defend them, so you might have 5 or 7 guys covering you or whoever has the Holocron. So it's definitely hard, if the enemy has the Holocron, trying to get it back is a little bit of a challenge. But it's more interesting game mode. It's basically capture the flag, but it adds the whole Star Wars idea with the Holocron. Yeah, whoever has the most points by the time the timer runs out, then they win. And then there's King of the Hill, which I looked through the maps. Doesn't exist. It says it on the ModDB page. I don't know if it was taken out with one of the patches, because I got the latest patch for it, but it doesn't exist. It's not on any map. Moving on, you have Classic Conquest, which is kind of interesting because it tries to restore sort of the mechanics and gameplay elements of a Battlefront 1 Conquest and put it into Battlefront 2. So this is where the whole conversion pack idea of converting Battlefront 1 onto Battlefront 2, that sort of idea, plays in. So, I was playing on Hoth, and I've noticed that even with throwing grenades, you throw it a little slower like it is in Battlefront 1. With a sniper rifle, like in Battlefront 1, there's more of a kickback. The minimap looks like the one from Battlefront 1. There are heroes on the field, but you can't play as them. They basically have infinite health, just like in Star Wars Battlefront 1, and they just kind of run around trying to do stuff, but they're kind of just bug out. Just like in Battlefront 1. Crazy, right? They really tried to make it similar to the Classic Conquest that was in Battlefront 1, and I think they succeeded. The modders did succeed the best they could in Battlefront 2, but it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. If you're into that sort of nostalgic Battlefront 1 type conquest, but you don't feel like trying to rebuy the game because you scratched the disc, or you want to get it for PC, then, or whatever your issue is, then I suggest the conversion pack is your fix. Then there's Team Dogfight, which is actually a space game mode, and it's pretty fun. It's what you'd expect. You have to basically shoot down the enemy fighters, but it really counts the deaths, not the fighters getting shot down, so you could just land in the enemy hangar and start just shooting up the place, and it would have the same effect. And there's Hero, Capture the Flag. You play as either heroes or villains, so they have Lando Calrissian, they have, Chewbacca, Han Solo. The mod also adds Wedge Antilles, who was actually in all the original movies, the original Star Wars films, and he was part of Rogue Squadron, sort of the squad that Luke's in. He was in the Trench Run mission. And then also Boss is added from Republic Commando, the video game. And he's also in just some normal missions as well, like with the Clone Wars sides. There's also the guy who was in Star Wars Episode 6, who's Nien Noob. And he's a Celestian. Nien Noob is also in this. If you like him, if you're a big fan of Nien Noob, go check this mod out, right, guys? They even have Luke Skywalker, at least on the map I was playing. It was Luke Skywalker who was on Tatooine in Episode 4. So he didn't have a lightsaber, he just had, blasters, but, And then on the enemy side, there was Bosk, the Trandoshan bounty hunter. He was first seen in Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. He's one of the bounty hunters who's sent to find Luke by Darth Vader. Then you have IG-88, who is an elite droid bounty hunter, and who was also seen in Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. It's one of the bounty hunters who was sent to find Luke as well. Dirge from Star Wars Clone Wars. Admiral Sarn is added, and he was originally seen in the 90s game Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire, and he was Imperial Admiral over a Super Star Destroyer, so you can kind of see the author's own likings and possible Star Wars games that they're into. Admiral Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, my bad, is also added. He's a Chiss Imperial Admiral, and he was first seen in Star Wars Heir to the Empire, and it's a book based after Episode 6. And from then on, he's been constantly referenced and appeared in other, like graphic novels, comic books, and even a few Star Wars games like Star Wars Empire at War, Forces of Corruption, which I'm a big fan of that game. There's one enemy called Prince Xizor, and I looked him up, and he's actually he was the leader of the Black Sun criminal organization. If you don't know who they are, they're sort of the big crime group in the galaxy in Star Wars, and he was the leader of it during the Galactic Civil War, and like on the Wikipedia page it said he was the most influential person during that time after the Battle of Hoth, on par with Darth Vader and the Emperor. I didn't even know who he was when I was playing it, but now I found out he's a great crime lord, and the more you know, right? Then there's also Greedo, and he's the famous Rhodian bounty hunter who's killed in Episode 4 by Han Solo, the guy who was trying to capture for Jabba. Then there's OOM9, or I guess OM9, the droid, and he's sort of an odd addition to the mod, sort of a unknown kind of character, I guess you could say, but also kind of known. He was the droid commander, apparently, of the droid army on Naboo in The Phantom Menace. So, just one of those side characters you never get the name of. When I was playing as Dirge or Prince Xizor, Han Solo, Chewbacca, all those characters were armed with laser guns, or blasters, whatever. And it was because I had selected Clone Wars for those maps. But if you selected Galactic Civil War for those same maps for Hero Capture the Flag, you actually got battles with lightsaber-wielding characters. So I'm just going to go over the new added characters for heroes and villains for the lightsaber battles for Hero CTF. So for the Sith or villain side, there's Darth Jarek, or just Jarek, who's added, and he is first seen in Star Wars Dark Forces, the 90s video game, so he's part of the expanded universe. Then there's Komari Vosa, who is from Star Wars Bounty Hunter, early 2000s game. She's like sort of the main villain in it, and she's also an apprentice of Count Dooku. Then there's obviously Asajj Ventress. She's from the Clone Wars, so not much explanation there. There's Aurra Sing, and I didn't know she wielded a lightsaber, but she's a bounty hunter. She was in a Phantom Menace for like a split second, and she was in a few Clone Wars episodes, I know that. And then there's Yun, who I guess was a person seduced to the dark side, one of the enemies or people you had to interact with in Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Yeah, that's basically the villain side. All the villains are pretty much the same besides those. Now getting onto the heroes. There is Jono Morell, and he's a Chiss Jedi. Chiss are like the blue aliens with red eyes. He doesn't really have any reference in anywhere else. I looked him up on the internet, and apparently he's from this mod, so the author just kind of made him up, and he's supposed to be like a Clone Wars Jedi, kind of. And there's Quinlane Voss, who, if any of you watch the Clone Wars TV show or know anything about that, he was in that, and he's also in a lot of comic books. There's Kyle Katarn, who's a well-known Jedi from the expanded universe. He was after Episode 6, and he, was originally a stormtrooper who then turned to a Jedi. He was in Star Wars Jedi Knight, the video game. Then there is Lo Baka, who is a Wookiee Jedi. Yes, a Wookiee Jedi, and he's from the expanded universe as well, after Episode 6 expanded universe. Also, Luke Skywalker in this. He's not new, but on each map his skin is different. So there's Hoth Luke Skywalker with the whole gear. There's sort of Dagobah Luke Skywalker with the lighter look to him. There's the Episode 6 Luke Skywalker, obviously. Yeah, I think that's almost all the Luke Skywalkers that are in this. Oh yeah, and then there's the Luke Skywalker who doesn't have a lightsaber. So, many forms of Luke Skywalker. And there is also Plo Koon. He's also added. He's from the Clone Wars TV show and just from the movies as well. He sort of has a weird breathing mask. And Mara Jade, who is also from the expanded universe and is supposed to be Luke Skywalker's wife. Qui-Gon Jinn is also added from Star Wars Episode 1, A Phantom Menace. There's Sharad Het. He was a powerful Jedi before the Clone Wars, before the invasion of Naboo, all that. He led a Tusken Raider tribe at one point, and it looks like he's mostly from Star Wars comic books. So yeah, those are all the heroes and villains of the Jedi sides that are in the conversion pack. So that's Hero CTF. And then there's Order 66, which is very specific, kind of self-explanatory. You got Jedi fighting clones, and I've found actually that the Jedi are a little handicapped. And if you're fighting as the clones, you can basically clean house, take out all the Jedi as like pretty quickly, win the battle. And as the Jedi, you kind of have to play as a handicap to like win. But I mean, you can win pretty quickly as the Jedi as well because you're a Jedi. But on their own, usually lose the battle. In conclusion, the Conversion Pack is a solid and in-depth mod that both achieves its base goal of adding Battlefront 1 maps to Battlefront 2, but also you can see the author's touch with several other, custom maps and the new era. The Conversion Pack is sometimes even recommended for use with other mods. I'm not sure whether that actually holds up, but I have seen other mod authors suggest you use this mod, so, definitely a go-to if you're using other mods. I personally enjoy using the pack, I use it all the time, and I really hope this video gave you the 411 on the Star Wars Battlefront Conversion Pack. Just in case anybody was wondering, I used the 1.3 patch and the 2016 graphics mod by default during these gameplays. So the 1.3 patch is what allowed for the conversion pack to work, and it also allows for a lot of other mods to work, and it's also the reason why the HUD looked the way it did. The 2016 graphics mod gave the game its brighter colors and lens flare-esque effects. So both of those mods will be in the description below to download. Thank you guys so much for watching. I was really excited about getting this video out, and I really want to hear what you guys think about it. If you don't like it, hey, you can dislike it and tell me in the comments what you didn't like about it. If you liked it, tell me what you liked, tell me what you disliked. I really want to hear your guys' opinions on this because I'm thinking about turning these videos into a series. And if you liked this video, don't forget to sharpen those spears and subscribe for more.